So I'm going to show you guys a nice feature, and I honestly just discovered this one myself. This is called flash fill, and I'm going to show you a real life scenario that you will probably end up, once you know about this trick, you will probably end up using it in a lot more applications, but this is the most common one that I think will help anybody, no matter what sort of reports you're getting. So in this example here, you can see I have my general ledger data, and the way that my report is spit out is I have the last name and then the first name, and so these are separated into two columns. Now, for the purposes of perhaps manipulating this report, it would be easier for me to put them in the same column. So I may want it to read last name, comma, first name, or first name, last name, whatever you think works better for you. If you want to, alphabetize by last name, it probably makes sense to start with last name and then first name. So that's what I'm going to do. Now, in Excel, there are always about 100 different ways to do things and to get the same result. So one of the things I can do is called concatenate, or there's a newer version called concat, and that's basically just telling Excel, I want to connect these two cell references. Now give me that value. You could also use the cell references directly, but what those are all going to do is they're all going to be formulas or functions that actually will change if your source data changes. And so if you want that to just be a value, as in you don't want it to be reliant on any other data in your sheet, then you need to copy and paste those as values. This one is really, really fast to do, and you can do it in any number of ways. So I'm going to show you how. The first thing that I'm going to do is, so I've got my data isolated, and now I've got this third column. I've named that full employee name. And then I'm going to start in the second row. And I'm just going to, in this case, I'm going to do it last name and comma and then first name. So nothing happens. I'm just typing it in there. I'm not doing any cell references. I'm not doing any formulas. Now, if I hit enter and go to W3, and then I start typing in Kamara, now see what happens. So Excel has identified this pattern based on the cells that are adjacent, so based on the pattern of the cell above it and based on the cells just to the left of it. And now you can see I have all of these suggestions in gray. So Excel is basically telling me, this is the data that I've identified. You've given me a pattern. What do you think about this? Is this what you want? So when you want to accept that, all you have to do is hit enter, and that will automatically fill in those in black. So now I can select those, and you can see these are just available as values. So I can move them anywhere I want, and that will preserve. So there are a few options. You can see my little flash fill options little icon has shown up now that I've done a flash fill. If you click on it, there's not a lot of additional functionality. You can accept suggestions. You could reject it. If I had caught that sooner, I would have been able to reject it. So anyway, that's just what that is. I usually just ignore that and it goes away eventually. You could also do any other sort of pattern that you identify as being helpful. So if you did want it to be first name space last name, you would just type in the first name and last name, and then it will do the same pattern. So you can see here, it's done the same thing that it did before, just using the first and last name pattern. And then when I hit select, so it's giving me those selections in black, confirming that that was the information that I wanted. And these are the flash fill options. So you can accept suggestions, you can undo, and then you can select all the newly changed cells. So that's just a quick feature into the flash fill. Very, very useful, and it's a lot faster than using concatenate or concat or any other of those various methods for joining that data. I hope you found this helpful. Be sure to keep posted for additional tips and tricks.